So guys, put your hands up if this exotic has been sitting in your vault for the past year or so, or like me, you haven't even bothered to get this exotic from the kiosk. Well, after listening to the latest Destiny content podcast, where they answer a ton of questions relating to Void 3.0 and the upcoming sandbox change with Witch Queen, you're going to want to grab this from the kiosk or vault ASAP. Today, I am theory crafting that Ruinous Effigy will be seeing the light of day and making an appearance into medium tier and possibly even end game PvE meta because of an interesting combination of void aspect and fragment effects. So let's go over first what Ruinous Effigy actually does. Ruinous Effigy is a void trace rifle that when you defeat an enemy, drops a void transmutation sphere, which can be picked up by you or your allies and be used to perform a variety of attacks. It's got a heavy attack, a light attack, and most importantly for this build, it's got a guard or a drain function, whereby you can block incoming damage and also damage over time enemies in the nearby vicinity. Now, Ruinous Effigy got nerfed a little while back, but with Void 3.0, there are two buffs coming to Ruinous Effigy. Number one, there's going to be a 40% damage buff to weapon damage against miners, and this is part of an exotic weapon buff that includes a wide variety of archetype of weapons. The second buff is that Bungie is now reverting the previous nerf and rebuffing the orb block damage by a whopping 66%. These two changes combined are going to make the orb damage ridiculous. Now here's where things start to get spicy. Bungie leads have confirmed that there will be a new fragment called Volatile Rounds, which will apply the volatile debuff to enemies damaged by void weapons. Now, Volatile is a debuff whereby enemies will explode in a void detonation upon taking additional damage, or they explode if a target dies before reaching that damage threshold. It's quite similar to the ability that Military Sentinels have, whereby they hit a target with a void ability and it attaches a void detonator. Now, not only would this apply to the beam for Ruinous Effigy, but it's going to apply to the void transmutation sphere that drops from a Ruinous Effigy kill. So how do we take this interesting fragment and weapon combination and turn it into a build whereby we can take on endgame content? Interestingly, the guard or drain function of the sphere does not break invisibility. Yes, that's right, you can therefore actively damage enemies while still being invisible. Therefore, I believe a very potent build is going to be to pair Ruinous Effigy with an Invisibility Hunter build. The two aspects you will want to run with this are Stylish Executioner and Trapper's Ambush. With these two aspects, you have two methods of going invisible. Stylish Executioner grants invisibility and true sight when killing a debuffed enemy, in this case, volatile debuff. And Trapper's Ambush lets you go invisible with a snare bomb. With these two aspects and Volatile Rounds fragment, you have a build which you can chain invisibility infinitely, debuff enemies, and even damage enemies while maintaining invisibility. This doesn't even account for something like Graviton Forfeit, which boosts invisibility time and snare time recharge rate while invisible. Now, although the guard function of the transmutation sphere provides considerable damage resist, we're going to utilize elemental wells and charge with light to take damage resistance and even damage boost to the next level. If you haven't already checked out my other Stasis Titan build, I explain in detail what elemental wells are more in that video. Essentially, as orb generation with weapons is not going to be a reliable source of orbs anymore, we will be shifting to an elemental well meta to generate charge with light. So what mods can we add in to make this build insane? So the first mod is Elemental Charge, whereby picking up elemental wells will provide you with charge with light. The second key mod is Elemental Armament, whereby combatant weapon final blows with a damage type that matches your subclass element have an escalating chance to spawn an elemental well. And yes, we already know that this applies to both the Ruinous Effigy beam and the transmutation sphere kills as well. Now that we can efficiently become charged with light, we can use mods that can increase both our damage and our resist. Font of Might provides a 25% damage increase to void weapons whenever you pick up a void well here. Protective Light provides 50% damage resist, and then we'll be using Well of Tenacity, which provides a further 10% damage resist. So let's summarize what we've discussed. With this build, you can chain invisibility forever through new upcoming aspects, plus or minus an exotic such as Graviton Forfeit. You can maintain invisibility while applying a debuff to enemies, which causes them to explode, and maintain invisibility while damaging enemies over time. This damage is going to be buffed considerably, First with the 40% buff to exotic weapons, and then the 66% buff to Ruinous Effigy specifically. And then you also have mods such as Font of Might. And this build also provides huge damage resist through the guard function of the transmutation sphere, and then through Protective Light and Well of Tenacity. We haven't even begun to take into account that you have 2 other teammates with you that could potentially use the same build to generate transmutation orbs for you that you could use. Or you could pair this weapon with some other void weapons to create some crazy team compositions. So guys, there you have it, an early theory crafted build for Witch Queen next week. I cannot wait to try this one out. Let me know what other builds you are going to try with Void 3.0 and the Witch Queen. If you enjoyed what I talked about today, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content with Witch Queen. Peace out.